What's up, everybody? This is Mind Your Money with MissBeHelpful, a show that highlights people and stories that will inspire you to get your money right. And today I'm talking to Dyana. She is a financial influencer and a budget coach known as MoneyBossMama on Instagram. What's up, Dyana? Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me to be on here. I'm excited.
Yes, girl, I'm happy for you to tell your story. I have been following you for a minute. And I just keep seeing your posts on my feed. I'm like, yes, I love this. Yes, I love this. Who is this? Like, oh, this is Money Boss Mama again. Like, I need to connect with her. What is her
Yeah,
story?
first of
Yes,
all, well, good. That means that they're showing up. I'm not just wasting
yes,
my time too.
girl. Yes. For those of you who don't know already, Diana's on Instagram as Money Boss Mama. Definitely go follow her. Mama spelled M-A-M-A. Obviously, money and boss are pretty straightforward. And she has over 16,000 followers. Like, this is amazing that you're creating content, to help specifically women improve their financial lives. And you've been able to just get such a following. This is
Yeah,
incredible. So, girl, I want you to talk all about it. But first,
okay.
before we do, I always love to start the show with just two really juicy questions because I feel like people see somebody like you or somebody like
Mhm.
me with a platform around money and finances and budgeting, and they just think that we have always had it together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, people are human. We have financial mistakes and regrets, and we were financially messy. And so I like opening with that just for relatability. Um, so tell us about a time where you made your biggest financial regret that you have to this day. Maybe it was a purchase or a service experience that you paid for. It was just way too much money, and you wish you could take it back to this very day.
So I would say that a lot of people don't even know that I am a recovering shopaholic. And I always say
Mm,
recovering because you're never really cured of it. You just have you're just able to now recognize what's triggering you to want to go out and spend and redirect those thoughts. So
I like
I was
that.
on vacation way back when, it was years ago, and I was still new on my debt-free journey, so I didn't have it all together, and I didn't
Mm,
have all the strategies and mindset rules
right.
that I have to keep myself from blowing my money. So when the sun is out, everyone's out. I think like with Florida, they had an outlet mall, and we're from Arkansas, like we're not used to that. We didn't have an outlet mall at
Mm,
that time. We
yeah.
have this little teeny tiny mall. So, the wind's blowing, the weather is nice. And then everyone's out and they're shopping. And I'm the only one on my family, even still, that was on a debt-free journey. And so we go into the Michael Kors store and I
Uh-oh.
buy this bright yellow Michael Kors purse. And it was completely off impulse. I knew I couldn't afford it. So I put it on a credit card and it was about
Oh,
$300. Yes, a
yikes.
complete waste of
That's not
time.
as bad. That's not as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting you to say 3,000. I was about to be like, "Ooh, I faint."
No, I wasn't that crazy. So even even still $300, that was a lot for
That
somebody
is a
with my
lot.
income. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a lot for a purse for an average person. Like if I'm a celebrity and you know, my wardrobe and my fashion sense and all that is part of like my image and my income
Yeah.
and me generating a certain persona, like sure, I'll go ahead and drop $300 on a
Sure.
purse. But me, my regular behind self, I'm not J Lo.
Right.
I don't need $300 purse.
I
I
said
need a
I don't even have nowhere to go to show this
right.
purse off to.
I need a $30 purse with $300 in it. Okay.
Period. Exactly.
I love that. Oh man. So you feel like it was literally just an impulse buy. Like you just felt like you needed it, so you just got it.
Yeah. It was a nice day out. We were out and about, and I was like, well, I want to be part of the experience too. So I went and got me a $300 purse on a Discover credit card.
Man,
Yeah.
Discover got you. Discover is like one of those companies, like the one that everybody gets their first credit card with
Yep.
Discover because they say yes to everybody. They just
Yeah.
give you, and then you get a credit card, you get a credit card, you get it. Discover is like the Oprah of credit cards.
Yeah. And then it was so easy to get. So I'm like, well, I got money on here.
Right,
Might as well
right.
swipe it.
Girl, I feel you on that. I remember in college and even after college, I used to just spend on my credit cards. And it's something in your mind where you feel like it's your money, but you also
Yeah.
kind of feel like it's not because it's not coming out of your checking account. So it doesn't hurt as much. But you still feel like
Yeah.
you got it. You got it because your name's on the credit card. So
It's here. Yeah.
it's this weird thing. It's this back and forth between it's not my money, but it feels like my money, but it doesn't hurt me like my money would. And yeah, credit cards can be messy.
They are messy. They'll get you.
Definitely. You got to have like your system. You have to have, your self-control. You got to know when you're spending how much, everything like
Yeah.
that. Definitely. Okay. So what about on the flip side of that situation? A time where you maybe spend a lot of money, and maybe somebody else might look at your situation like, Diana, you're crazy. I don't think you should have spent that much. But for you, it was worth it, and you would do it again because it's something that you don't regret, even though it might have been a little costly.
So mine is a little different because it started off as a regret, but it wound up being like a huge blessing. And I would have to say my auto loan. So
Ooh.
I jumped into an auto loan. It was my first ever debt, what welcomed me into the world of debt. And I got it at 18. So I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, and I decided I didn't want my little clunker no more. And
Right.
so we go through those phases where we're young. We think that what you have equates or equals to success.
That's
So
right.
I wanted a new car like all of my other old classmates. And I felt like I'm busting my butt here, so I deserve it. I was a Sonic car hop. I think my paychecks were like $500.
Mhm.
And so we go to the car dealership, and I get finally, after being denied by many because I have no credit, my mom has bad credit, we finally land at a car dealership that says yes, and it was like a used car, but it was nice. It was 14,000. But the way that they said it to me, like, oh, it's just XYZ for 30 something months. And then I'm like,
So they
okay, well, I
sold
can
you
do
on the
this.
monthly amount. They didn't say
The
14,000.
way,
They said, oh, this monthly payment is really small, so you can
yeah.
manage it. Of course.
And it was like a 5-year loan, and the way they put it in months instead of years, I couldn't calculate it that fast. So I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that
Every month. Yeah.
every month. And then when I started realizing that it was taking up one full paycheck a month for years, then I'm like, okay, this turned into a regret. But if I had never had that auto loan, then I would have never been thrust into the world of personal finance. I would have never went online to learn about what an interest rate was, what a loan was, how it works, how lenders work, how to increase my credit score so I could refinance. Like, it was literally that one thing that made Money Boss Mama. So that was a purchase that I do not regret whatsoever.
Wow. I love that. It is in some way a regret, but that you don't regret because of the fact that it was your entry point to the world of
Yeah.
getting money right. I love that. I guess, I get this question a lot about, because I had like over $20,000 of credit card debt when I was in, my 20s, and I was a mess. And every time I tell my story, people always ask me like, girl, would you go back in time? If you could go back in time, would you undo, like, would you not do all the credit card mistakes? Would you graduate with like no debt?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I could say yes, because if I said yes to that, where would I be today?
Yeah.
I probably would never have learned about personal finance and like had to struggle to fix my credit and struggle to stop, being obsessed with credit card spending and actually manage a budget and learn about saving. I don't know if I would have, like, it was a happy, I guess, what do you call it? Like a mistake that worked, like a happy mistake, because it actually taught me something.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with your perspective. It makes sense to me in that situation.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us have to go through that struggle period where we're so uncomfortable and so miserable and barely making ends meet to really be like, okay, I need to get my money together. And that was what that struggle period was for us.
Yeah,
No
I
regret.
love that. I love that. I'm so glad that you used a different example, because usually people be like, "Oh yeah, girl, I spent $500 on this and it was worth it." It's like, no, for you, it actually was something that propelled you into personal finance. I really like that. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your brand. Tell us about Money Boss Mama. So you said because of that, Money Boss Mama was born. So
Mm-hmm.
was it like it just clicked for you, and you're like, I just have to start telling people stuff and sharing tidbits? Like, how was it actually born? And then what made you decide to really actually go all the way and make it a public thing? Because some people do it, where it's like a little club, maybe their friends and their family participate, but no, you went all out. Over 16,000 people on Instagram, and you're very public with, your tips and your information. So what made you kind of motivated to make that decision?
Well, I've been blogging for about 4 or 5 years. So when I actually started
Wow.
my debt-free journey in
Mhm.
2016, I knew that I needed a way to hold myself accountable. So I did have a previous blog. It was private, like everybody else's. But when I switched to a debt-free journey,
Yeah.
I started a website called A Debt-Free Journey. And then on there, I would just share my little monthly debt check-ins. And it started to catch fire with like one or two people, which was probably me on my cell phone that was reading it. But then I realized like the one or two people that would actually come by and read my little debt check-ins, they would ask me questions. And as I'm learning, like I'm helping them as well. And then I realized like,
Yes.
okay, well, this is really fun to me. This is fun to me. I'm in this place where I'm completely obsessed with my
Mm.
finances. And
Yep.
so because I was helping other people who wanted help with their finances, I decided to shift gears and I started to create how-to posts on that little website.
Love that.
And
Mhm.
those start catching fire. So I had a debt-free journey for about 2.5 years. And then in 2018, I was like, well, what if I push this further? What if I narrowed it down to women? Because I started to analyze my audience as women. They're like young or
Right.
middle-aged women because my story, they resonate with it. And
Exactly.
so I created Money Boss Mama because I wanted to talk about money, being a boss. I feel like I was becoming the boss of my life. And I
Yes.
was a mom. So it was like three niches in one. But when I joined Instagram, it's so funny. They actually changed my the route that I was going with Money Boss Mama. They just
Mm.
started saying Money Boss Mama as if I was a money boss mama, not three separate words or three
Right.
separate niches. So I went with it. I was like, okay, well, I'm Money Boss Mama. And just me being vulnerable, I felt like in the
Yes.
beginning, I couldn't really resonate with a lot of stories because I was young, I'm Black, number one, and I was a single mom. I was on one income.
Mm.
I didn't have a husband to live on his income so we could
Right. The
save
dual
and
income.
put
It'd
the
be
rest.
great. That'd be great.
Yeah,
You got dual
I'm not
income. Amazing.
yeah,
But
I'm not
right.
saying it's bad, but I'm not at that place yet. And so
Right.
I could not resonate with their story. So I'm like, I know there's someone out there like me,
Yes.
that needs to see this so that it can
Yes.
motivate them to go about their own journey. And the strategies they were using, that wasn't working for me because I wasn't making enough. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to show them that they can do it a different way. And it
Love it.
literally, when I joined Instagram, which was me sweating when I pressed making the account, because I'm like, nobody's gonna want to
Oh.
hear what I'm saying. This is Instagram. They want to see IG models, right? So I literally didn't think anyone was going to care. And then as I'm sharing and I am gaining followers, I'm like, okay, I'm on to something. And
You
that
see that
motivates you
value.
to keep going.
That
Yeah.
value. That's right. You're creating value and people know. I love that
It's
so much.
crazy.
It is because I mean the thing is, it's really just that fear. That fear probably kept you from creating the account for a little while. So
It
you finally
did.
just said, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And then boom, there you go. The followers come and the supporters is what it is.
Yeah,
I don't like followers, that word. I always wish it said supporters because I really do feel like what people are doing is supporting the
they
work
are.
that you're doing and really wanting, to just see you grow. And the more you create content, the more you support them. It's about supporting each other. So I really don't like the follow me, follow you, follow back. Like
Yeah.
I wish it was more about support. And so yeah, I think that you created value for them and they support what you're doing and you continue to support them. So I definitely hear that, like, getting over that fear in your story. You're like, oh, like I didn't know and I finally just did it. That is huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah. Too
And
many
I
people out
wish I
here.
would have done it sooner.
You wish you
Yeah.
would have done it sooner. You wish you would have done it sooner. That's right. I love it. I was just about to say, a lot of people out here with a great idea, but they just, that fear keeps them from
I'll act on it.
executing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
never going to get over that fear. I'm still sweating bullets, even on live.
Yeah,
It's
girl, it's
always going to be
true.
there.
Yeah, that is very true. It's true. All right, so tell us a little bit about your backstory. Like, I think for people to hear where you are now, it's amazing, to be a Black woman who's a single mother, to be doing it, to be sharing what you're doing, helping other people make smarter financial choices and giving people resources. That's amazing. but you haven't always been where you are. Like, tell us about your backstory, maybe a little bit about your upbringing. You said that you grew up in Arkansas. What was that like early life, for baby Diana? And any, like, specifically any early money lessons that you remember, or like what you picked up about money based on how you grew up?
So early Diana was in the country, and that's why I still don't. I'm like 16,000. What? Like I don't know
Mm,
what I'm doing half the time. I'm just doing it out of what I feel right in my spirit, right?
that's right.
But I really don't remember any type of money lessons until my mom left my dad. So at the end of third grade, literally, I came home and he's sitting on the couch. He's like, "This is your last day in this house. Your mom got an apartment." I'm like, "Okay, well,
Oh,
okay." And
right.
so it was a shock for us, but it was also a shock for her because she was mostly a stay-at-home mom. My dad handled the finances. He was the
Mm,
provider. He's just a natural born provider. It's how he was raised. And so now she's alone with 3 kids and she doesn't have the financial education that she needs. So I watched her struggle. We went from being like a middle class family to now my mom's struggling. She's sleeping on the floor because she can't afford a bed, and we're
right.
having to leave grocery carts full of groceries. I say this all the time at the checkout line because she didn't have enough for groceries to go through.
Wow.
And now
Right.
she would never really say much. Her or my dad would never really say much, but when you take those trips down memory lane, they don't have to say it. They don't have to say
That's
it
right.
for that to affect you. And
Right.
so I had grown gotten to this place as a teen where I did not like asking people for money because I saw my mom having to beg my dad for money or other
Mm,
men for money so we can get school supplies and food and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm going to work for it on my own because I don't like that grimy feeling of having to ask for it or beg
mm,
for it. And
yes.
then growing up, my dad has always been a side hustler. I didn't even know what side hustling was at the time, but he's, what do they call it? A three, Enneagram 3, something like that, where you can't stay still and you always got to
Mm,
be working, always got to be working. So that was him, side projects all the time to bring in money. And
right.
so when I'm 16 or a teenager, I'm figuring out, when I'm low on money, what can I do to make up
Right.
that gap? And so I'm a natural born side hustler because of what I was watching. But still, I got to this place where it was super unhealthy because I always felt like I never had enough. I never had enough. There was never going to be enough because I grew up in a scarcity based household with my mom never having enough. And it was this, I've got to work my butt off fear because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to afford groceries and I'm going to be sleeping on the floor.
Mm,
And I was making money, when you're young, you have no responsibilities really, you're still in your
uh-huh.
mom's house, no kids.
Mhm.
I was a shopaholic. That's where that came from. Shopaholic, eating fast food, whatever I wanted. But when my daughter came, it was like my world crashed. I'm
Ooh,
responsible for this human being now. And my money is not my money. And I didn't realize that I'm broke until I had her. Until I had
yes.
her. You think you're
Mm,
grown. So I moved out. I'm a broke college student. I have one child. I'm still giving up one paycheck to my auto loan because I
mm.
can't get rid of that thing.
Don't forget about
So
that.
I'm living off one paycheck, having to support myself off one paycheck, and I'm working
Oof,
part-time.
yikes.
So my one strategy was always using extra money. So I'm using extra money to pay up bills, to pay up my auto loan, just so with those months when it's not tax refund time or school refund
Right.
time, I
Right.
can live. So
Mm,
that was Diana pre-debt free journey. Didn't have any money, barely anything left over after her paychecks, and struggling like
yeah.
most of
Most people.
United States. Like
Yeah.
we're
You're
struggling.
right. You're right. That's so true. So it was really the baby, right? It was really the baby that made you realize what your actual financial situation was. But then what was the moment where you were like, I have to change my ways, because if I don't, I'm not gonna be able to provide better for my baby. Like what was that realization where it really struck you? Like, okay, I have to start budgeting and I have to start really getting serious
Yeah.
about planning out my finances.
So I think it was me realizing that I was looking like my mom, that I
Hmm.
was keeping my daughter in that same rotation because I became that person. I'm sleeping on a blow-up bed for a little
Mm.
while. I have no money. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford groceries. Like I looked like my mom, which was my fear. And so I'm looking at my daughter. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This has to break. And I'm looking at my circumstances like, okay, I see you, I recognize you. But what if I just pushed it? What if I just went for it? And let's see where that takes me, because I've literally got nothing to lose. So
Yeah.
that was what forced me into, I've got to do better. I can't keep her in that
Yes.
rotation.
I love that. That's it. It pretty much. I mean, I don't have children, and I definitely did not have that experience growing up with a single mom because I had both of my parents. But um, what you just said resonates with me because when I finally hit a point where I was like, I can't keep living like this. Like I had so much credit card debt. I was just in such a mess. I was like, something needs to change. It was because of my fear. I didn't want to continue the cycle. I didn't want to repeat the cycle again, the cycle of poverty, like my parents coming here to this country not having access to a lot of things, and then me repeating that again and be the next generation, but you haven't moved forward.
Yeah.
That was so scary to me. And like, it's so funny where you said, like, I realized I was becoming my mom, I was doing the same things as her. If that would be literally, that would be repeating the cycle,
Yeah.
and the cycle of struggle, the cycle of poverty, the cycle of being trapped in a situation where you're literally living paycheck to paycheck. If you get in a paycheck coming in. And like, I just feel like that is definitely something that I feel like motivated me as well, because it was more so I just could not imagine another 5 years, another 10 years, and me still being
Yes.
like that. I was like, oh God,
No,
I can't
I
let it happen.
can't.
No, you got, and at that point you realize, okay, other people have had to have figured this out before me. Let me
Yeah.
tap into that, right? There's no way that there's no information out there about how to fix this problem. I wonder too, like, about how when you first started, like, what was your go-to? Like, how did you get into it all? Like, was it a specific financial person, a book, a course? Because it's always interesting to me when I hear people that are like, yeah, one day I was a mess and then I just decided I'm gonna change my life. Okay, but then what did you do?
Yeah.
Like, how did you do it? What were the early things that you really invested your time in?
Well, with me, like I said, I'm always the oddball, but I had nobody that I looked up to for a while, which is why I
Oh,
created my little blog. I completely self-taught myself. I guess I looked up to Google. I did have that little background when I was
yeah.
trying to lower my auto loan payment, so I did have that knowledge of a loan and how interest worked.
Yes.
But when it came to budgeting and all of that, I really was just on Google for the most part. And with Google kept popping up these blogs, like all of these
Mhm.
blog sites, because blogs were popping then.
They
And
were,
so
yes.
I would take what they would say and I would use little parts that fit my situation. And I kind of just made all of these moving parts my complete
Yeah.
financial picture and did it that way. And then, like, when I started on Instagram, I realized that there were all these gurus. But by that time, I think that I pretty much had a system, so it didn't really
Yeah.
make a
You
huge
had you
difference. But
had something that worked, right?
yeah, blog sites for sure.
That's great. It's great to hear that, because I always do find that people sometimes over rely on, like, one specific person or one specific book. And so it's awesome that you, even early on, you were pulling bits and pieces from all these sources and saying, how can I make these things? How can I take a little bit and make it work for me? Put together
Yeah,
my own puzzle using all these pieces that I know is going to work for my situation. And then now you kind of you really have kind of crafted this thing that works for you, and now you're able to share with other people, like, okay, I pulled from
yeah.
all these places, but I figured it out in a way that works for me. If you have a similar situation, boom, here's how it works. And
Yeah.
that's, again, like, I feel like it's probably the best way to do it, so you're not, like, literally just digesting what one person said,
Copy
or
and
just,
pasting.
yes,
Yeah. And then wondering why it's not working.
exactly. And I'm the
Tailored to
same.
fit your need.
Exactly. And I feel like I'm the same way, because my very first like mistake was similar to yours, was like a bunch of debt. It was credit card debt. And then I remember I was like in a Dwayne Reed, or I don't remember, Walgreens, CVS, something like that. And I was in the store buying a bunch of just crap. I used to spend a lot of money, just candles, lotion, whatever, like just random stuff. And I remember I was about to go pay, and then I look over at the magazine rack, and there was books there, and I saw one book said Women and Money by Susie Orman. And I was like, I'm a woman, and I have really been, struggling with the money thing. Let me see what this book is about. So I just started reading the first few pages while I was in line. And by the time I get to the front counter to go pay for my stuff, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this lotion back. I don't need these candles, but I want this book.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna buy this book. And it was $9. Girl, that book was like, I soaked it all in, and I was like, I want more.
Yeah.
Then I just started reading more books.
It's addicting.
It is, because it's like a whole new world. It's like a whole other language that you've never been exposed to before. And yet it's can make so much positive impact on you so quickly. So yeah, girl, for me, I just kept soaking it in. I was like, okay, I want to read blogs. I want to watch videos. I want to everything.
Yeah. It's like, it literally opens up like a can of worms. Like, you just go down this rabbit hole.
Exactly. And especially with the internet, like, and books too. I mean, you start reading one book, you read another book, you read a recommended book, a similar book, of course. But with the internet, it's even more of a rabbit hole. Click here, you find so many things.
Click, 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 click.
Literally, you end up like 5 clicks later, you're looking at some random. How did I get here? What am I looking at? Like, I thought I was looking for a budget worksheet. Now I'm looking at somebody's like whole life drama with that. Like, you just end up somewhere totally random. Okay, well, I definitely want to know. I think there's a little bit of context here as to the upbringing and the experience that you had being the fuel to say to like, really, for you to say, I am really not about to repeat this whole cycle. Like, I need to be the change. I need to be the reason why it's different. But then you decided to start Money Boss Mama. And I feel like for me, a lot of times what I realize is like, when it's your own personal thing and you keep it private, that's great. Most people just don't necessarily want to go public with it like that.
Yeah.
And because it's a lot of private stuff, and especially money, because money is so taboo. So I'm curious to know, like, what was it like when it first really started popping off? More followers, more supporters, more people, like, and you're publicly telling people about your financial moves and, like, tips and tricks. Like, did that motivate you more that it was a public brand, or was it like, oh my goodness, like now everybody's gonna see and know because of that money taboo? Like, what was that kind of thinking in your mind about the situation?
I will say in the beginning, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing because it was a new platform that I was on, and we're basically like putting all of our business out there,
Right.
And I knew that people from my personal life would see my name, and they're like clicking, and then they look at my posts that are coming up. They're like, what is this girl doing? So it was embarrassing, but I think that I was able to push past that little bit of embarrassment because I had already made public sacrifices. So I had already stripped myself down. I was already like 2.5-3 years into my debt-free journey, and I had already made those sacrifices where I moved into a crappy apartment. I looked a hot mess because I couldn't afford the clothes and the sew-ins and everything else that I had before, because I was in the thick of my journey, and I was trying to get out of debt. That was number one, and I'm taking care of kids. So because I had already gone through that embarrassment of how you remember me is no longer how I am right now, because I'm in a transitional phase, I was able to push past it on Instagram. And I'm like, I know the outcome that I have, my reason for doing it. And I feel like me building up a community and showing other people, you can do it too when you're in this situation, is more important than me shelling up because, Kim K from high school is looking at me and now she sees my income on Instagram,
Yes.
So that was,
Girl, you just said a quote that I'm gonna steal, and I'm gonna use it because I love it. I mean, I'm gonna quote you on it though when I do, I promise. But you said, how you remember me is no longer how I am.
Yeah.
And you just said it like on a whim, but that is such a powerful statement, because there is so much about what we fear about putting ourselves out there is what other people are going to think of us, but most especially people that don't know us. Or people that know us. If you don't know me, I don't care what you think. You don't know me. It's the
Yeah.
people that know me that I don't want them to judge. I don't know what they're going to think
Them.
about me and what they're going to say about me. And so it's so funny that instead of focusing on, oh, what are they going to say about me? What are they going to think about me? Instead, take a position of, well, it don't matter because the way they remember me is no longer how I am. So they
Yeah.
actually don't know the new me. So I don't care because now they're part of this group of people who don't know me.
Yeah.
Right. And so I love that. It's empowering in a way where it's like you really don't have to focus so much on what other people think about you and really just focus on how you are right now, where you're at, and just live in that. That's what matters.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Show up for those who are where you're trying to go and they are trying to do what you're doing. Show up for
Yes.
those people,
Yes.
you know? And so that's
Definitely.
what I was repeating to myself. Just keep showing up.
I love that. I love that. That's amazing. All right. So then I would love to hear a little bit about your life now before we wrap up because girl, we could talk forever. But I want to hear about like life now because I imagine there's a lot going on, right? It's the middle of a pandemic. Like, what is a day-to-day or week-to-week life for you now? You're still mom. Of course, you got all that going on. You have Money Boss Mama, which is growing every day. Like, what are the things that you focus your time on, your energy on? How does like a typical day or week look for you?
So it's crazy because I'm like my dad, I've got to be doing 50 million things. So typical week is I still have my day job.
Yep, me
So,
too.
but thank God we're at home. So I get to juggle that between Money Boss Mama and what I do in the
Yeah.
daytime. So throughout the week, I do work with clients. So I have 4 right now. So I'm working on helping them just with their budgets and everything. And then I also schedule some time in to do the YouTube and making sure that I
Nice.
show up on Instagram as well. And I also have,
Yep.
my personal plans, which is saving and saving for a rental property. So it's crazy, but I would say it's the craziness that's completely worth it because it's the type of crazy that I prayed for, and now I'm here
Yes.
and I get to
Yes.
execute.
I love that. I love that because I sometimes I just be like, oh God, I work all the time. I work all the time. Like I'll get up, I get on the computer, I do my day job. Then I'm like, all right, I have all these other projects. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, when I have those thoughts, I'm like, all right, but if you weren't doing this, what else would you be doing? And then I realized it's the same thing. I would still be wanting to talk about personal finance. I would still be
Yeah.
wanting to meet amazing people like you, interesting women who have amazing financial stories. I would still be wanting to do all these things that I'm doing. So it reminds me how actually I'm blessed to be able to
Yeah.
work doing the things that I used to wish I could make money doing. So it's a
It's
beautiful reminder,
crazy.
especially at a time like right now in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
Everybody's stuck at home, kind of going a little crazy, but yeah, reminding yourself to make time for the things that you're actually passionate about is so important.
Yeah. Schedule it
Yeah,
in, make it work.
that's right. That's right. And if somebody like you who's so busy as a single mom could make time for not just your day job, not just your kids, not just your personal responsibilities and goals with your money, but also Money Boss Mama and coaching, budget coaching, like, girl, you split 18 ways. If you can make it work, like it's because you must love it. It must not
Yeah.
feel so much like work, right?
Yeah. Not a sacrifice.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Well, congratulations on building
Thank you.
a life like this because it's not easy. It's really not. But that's why I want to get more of these kind of stories up here because it's inspiration for other people hearing to be like, wow, like if Diana could do this whole 360 with her life, like,
Yeah.
or I guess 180 because 360 means you're back in the same spot. 180 to change your life and completely flip it.
Mhm.
There is hope for other people to see that and really take it in and put in place the changes that they want in their life as well. It's never too late to make changes, to start living differently
Yeah.
any day. That is
Today.
beautiful. Yes, girl, today. I love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap up with where can people find you? And then I'm going to ask you about your money mantra. So if people want to reach out to you, they're like, oh my God, Diana's story was amazing. I'm just, I feel like what she said really hit me. I want to reach out to her. Is it okay if they just like DM you? Should they email you? How should they connect with you?
Yeah, I always get DMs, and I try my best to answer all of them at Money Boss Mama on Instagram, or you can go to moneybossmama.com and fill out the contact form, and it'll go straight to my email. And then I always try my best to answer those as well.
Nice. Yeah, I always tell people put something in there for me to respond to, because sometimes I get emails
Yeah.
that be like, "Oh, you're awesome. I just watched your video and I loved it." I'm like, "You think I'm gonna respond to?" Sometimes if I randomly have time, I'll respond. Thank you, that's so sweet. But ask me a question. If you want me to
Yeah.
answer, ask me a question. Okay, reach out and ask questions. Like, let people know what the purpose is of your note, because I do love to talk to people, but it has to be
Yeah.
for a reason.
Something to talk
So
about.
yes, give me something to talk about. Exactly. All right. Well, I love that. Definitely, you guys go follow Money Boss Mama on Instagram. I love the content. It's just always quick little tidbits that you post that I really like. Like recently, you posted one about sinking funds, and I was like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
sinking fund. Just like super cute, quick, and then letting people know, watch your video, quick like net worth updates. Just like quick things, and it's really great to see you also collaborating with so many other women too. Like I see your little
Uh-huh.
lives. I'm like, this is amazing. Like that's the type of collaboration we need. So it doesn't feel like we're competing against each other, but we actually uplifting each other and supporting each other's stories. So I really love that. I
Yes.
love what you're doing.
Because we need
Yeah.
that. It's our time to have a seat at the table.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely hear that. Okay, so now the last thing I like to do on the show is to wrap up with a money mantra. So this is like, I'm gonna take a dollar bill and I'm just gonna put your picture on it with your money mantra above it. And this is just the idea that like every time somebody's about to use money for
Mhm.
anything, for transactions, for budgeting for something, or getting something for somebody else, what is this like message, this larger money message that they should really keep in mind whenever they're making money choices, that you think is really, really important and powerful? So some people say money mantra, money message, money motto, whatever that thing is, that's really just kind of like yeah, like your mantra about money that you carry with you every time you're making money choices. So for you, what would that money mantra be?
I would say if I had to write something down on a dollar bill, it would be I am a tool. So maybe my money
Mm,
mantra is money is a tool, because
yes.
it is. It's a tool that you use to build the life that you want. So every time you're about to go out and spend something, you need to ask yourself, am I using this as a tool to build the life that I want, the life that I'm envisioning, or am I using this to build someone else's life? Because it's going to go either way. Either way, either it's going
Right.
to come to you and benefit you, or it's going to go benefit someone else and leave you stuck in the same spot.
Yes, I love that. That is so true. I think there's something about the word tool too, because you could you couldn't really do anything with the tool unless you were building something.
Yeah,
Like you could buy a hammer and you're not building anything. What are you going to do with the hammer? You're just going to put it. You're not going to use it. You're going to keep it up in the closet. If you're building something, money is a tool to help you build that. As you're building your life, you have to know what life you want to build before
yeah,
you just try to make a bunch of money. Like if money is the thing that you're trying to get and you don't know what the money is going to allow you to access or to get with the money, you're
it's not.
you're just chasing money for the wrong reason. It's not
Yeah,
going to be fulfilling. It's not going to mean anything for you. And so it's important to remember that. Like you're saying, money is just a tool to help you build this bigger thing that you're actually built. That's what really matters. The money is just going to help you get there.
yeah. And I think it makes it less grimy because, we have those money beliefs that money is evil. I don't deserve it. Da, 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 da. No, money is an inanimate object. It's just a tool that you're going to use to build the life, the world that you want to see, you know?
Yeah, I
Just use
love
it as a
that.
tool.
That's so true. Especially if you grow up like in a family that struggled a lot with money, you tend to have those negative thoughts about money,
Yeah.
or it goes either way. Like I know some of my family and friends that grew up like, in the struggle. Now they're just money hungry. They're just money hungry
Yeah.
because they never want to be poor again. And then I have my
Yeah.
like the complete other side of that, whereas people that are like, no, money doesn't mean anything. I have been poor and I was happy. So it's like at this point, I want to make money to help me access a life that I want to design for myself. But money is not the end goal. It's just going to be a tool that's going to allow me to get to that goal.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that I love that grimy. It's that grimy feeling. You said grimy like 3 times today. I'm gonna take that word and put it in my pocket. Grimy. I love it. All right. Well, I definitely love that quote for the dollar. And I also I wrote it down. I'm not gonna forget it. Is how you remember me is no longer how I am. I love that. I'm gonna take that from you. But yeah, this was so great. I'm so glad I got to learn more about you, learn about your story, and that I connected with you beyond just Instagram. So thank you for making the time to chat with me. This was so great. And then, yeah, the last thing I always like to do is just let people know where to follow you, which we already did, which is Money Boss Mama on Instagram. So if there's anything that you're working on, that you're building, that you want to let people know about, go ahead and share.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing me on here. I love this conversation. So if you go to my Instagram and tap the link in my bio, it's going to be the first box that you see that's going to take you to my budget one-on-one coaching waitlist. So you can sign up so that you can be the first to know whenever the slots open up, because they are limited.
Yeah, I mean, girl, you got limited time, so you got to limit the
Yeah.
slots. Makes sense. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, and it's so wonderful to actually finally get to talk to you face to face, or computer face to face,
Yeah.
virtually. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your week. Have an amazing, amazing day, and I will connect with you again soon.
Thank you.
If you like this video, which I'm sure you did because the video was the bomb, then you're going to want to watch all the other episodes of the Mind Your Money with MissBeHelpful podcast. And they're all right here in this playlist. So click the playlist to watch those episodes. And if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the subscribe button right now so you can get videos every single week, and to join Team Be Helpful right here. That's all I have for you guys. Till next time, peace.